Hi, I'm Fraser Douglas, the avid tent camper. In this video, I thought I would tell you about our canvas wedge tent that Eva and I got about 2 years ago. This is a canvas wedge tent that is very similar to those that were used by soldiers during the Civil War and later 1800s. I bought it from a man that had been a Civil War reenactor for 10 years and had used this tent on several campaigns. I bought it for 3 reasons. First, I wanted a canvas tent for cool weather camping. Second, it was very similar to my first store-bought tent that I bought back in 1968. And finally, it was available for a very low price for a canvas tent because its owner was retiring from reenacting. The floor measures 9 feet long by 8.5 feet wide, and it's supported by 3 wooden poles. A high 9-foot center ridge pole that is supported by 2 upright 5.5-foot poles, one at the front of the tent and one at the back of the tent. When I bought the tent, about half of the stake-down loops were rotten and torn, so I bought some nylon webbing, and Eva sewed the webbing onto the bottom of the tent to make new stake-down loops. The interior of the tent seemed very confined with those steep, sloped sidewalls, and so Eva used the webbing to also sew 2 pull-out loops on each sidewall. Since the tent did not have a floor, and since the sidewalls were raised about 3 inches above the ground, I decided to add a 12-inch sodcloth all the way around the bottom of the tent. So I bought some canvas fabric, cut it into 12-inch strips, and Eva sewed it around the bottom of the tent. On our next campout, we realized that new sodcloth wanted to flop to the outside of the tent rather than to stay inside. And so I added 4 elastic straps to each sidewall sodcloth to pull them together. This is how it looks now. After taking a couple of trips, I realized that 9-foot center ridge pole was awkward to pack, and so I decided to cut it in half and use a piece of PVC to connect the 2 halves in the campsite. Well, let me show you how we set this tent up. It has no floor, but it does have a sodcloth. So the first thing that we do is we put a tarp on the ground. This tarp right here is flat on the ground. Then we set up the tent with the sodcloth on the inside. To hold the sodcloth inside, we've got elastic straps hooked on both sides of the sodcloth, kind of pulling them toward the center. Now on top of those straps, and on top of the sodcloth, we have another tarp, and that's basically our floor. Then on top of that floor, we have carpets. There's a larger indoor-outdoor carpet back in the back, and this is a smaller doormat carpet right here. And then we have the doormat here. Now when we get ready to close up the tent, we'll take this sodcloth and tuck it under the upper tarp. Now that lower tarp should be a little bit smaller so that it does not stick out anywhere from under the tent. And when we get home, I plan to cut that a little bit smaller. When we got the sodcloth tucked in under that upper tarp, we're nice and snug with all of the wind and weather blocked out of the tent. So let me show you inside the tent. Once our carpet is down, we lay air mattresses on top of yoga mats to make our bed. And then we use a fitted sheet to hold the mattresses together. If we only have 2 mattresses, we use a standard bed sheet. If we have 3 mattresses, we use a king-size sheet. It's messy. Come in through the door, you'll see an electric line that we use to recharge our cell phone. And this front corner, we've got a little milk crate with our thermometer there, some lights, and we've got an electric space heater if we need it. We have not run it at night because our sleeping bag has been so warm. Along this side are my things, and then you'll see that that post there at the back end, and then along this side are Eva's things. Near the center of the tent, we hang this battery-powered dome light, and sometimes hang a second one above our heads so we can read in our bed at night. And then we've got a nice sleeping bag here with our pillows up at that far end. In this configuration, the tent really couldn't hold more than 2 or 3 people, but if you slept from side to side, you could probably get about 6 people in here. Now, this sleeping bag is super warm. It is a Teton Sports Mammoth double extra warm sleeping bag. Now, this old canvas tent does not have a zipper or buttons to secure the door, and so let me show you the procedure that's usually used. You've got 3 sets of ties. This is the upper set, and what you do is you pass each tie back behind the pole, bring it around, and tie a single bow knot right there. Now, if you're inside the tent, you would tie the single bow knot on the inside of the tent. After you do the first one, come down and do the second one, and then do the bottom one. Now, I've enjoyed fixing this old tent up over the last 2 years to try to make it as comfortable as the new modern tents, but I could have saved a lot of time and money and been more comfortable if I had bought a new modern canvas tent. My first choice would be this Kodiak canvas cabin tent, but this Kodiak Flexbow and Spring Bar Highland tents are much more popular because they're easier to set up and more economically priced. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this little video about a canvas wedge tent, and I hope that it has given you some good ideas for a winter or cool weather tent that you may want to get sometime in the future. For more information about the best tents and other equipment for family tent camping, please visit my website, moderntentcamping.com. Remember, take more trips, travel further, visit more attractions, and save money. Go tent camping.